Imagine waking up to the news that one of Australia's biggest banks, ANZ, is cutting thousands of jobs, and yet its share price is still falling. This is the harsh reality that investors and employees alike are facing today. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Despite the mass sackings, the bank shares are down, along with the other major banks. So what's behind this unexpected turn of events? Let's dive into the world of business news and find out. The Australian share market, or ASX, is down overall, with the major miners also weighing on the main indices. However, the Australian dollar is higher, which might seem like a positive note. But don't be too quick to celebrate. Our specialist business reporters are working around the clock to bring you the latest updates and insights. So be sure to follow our live blog for all the action. And remember, this blog is not intended as investment advice. So always do your own research before making any financial decisions. Now let's take a look at the key events that have unfolded so far. The ANZ boss, Nuno Matos, has announced that the bank will be cutting approximately 4,500 jobs, including 3,500 employees and 1,000 contractors. This move is part of a mass cost-cutting program aimed at simplifying the bank and stopping initiatives that don't align with its priorities. But what's surprising is that the bank's share price is still falling. Despite this announcement, the ASX 200 is down 0.4% to 8,813 points, and the Australian dollar is up 0.1% to 65.97 US cents. The Dow Jones, SP 500, and Nasdaq are all up, but the FTSE and Euro stocks are only slightly higher. So what's driving these market movements? Is it the uncertainty surrounding the US economy, or the concerns about the Australian banking sector? These are all questions that our expert analysts will be exploring in more detail. And this is the part most people miss: the impact of these job cuts on the employees and their families. It's not just about numbers and statistics. It's about real people who will be affected by these decisions. The Good Guys, an online electronics retailer, has been fined $13.5 million for misleading store credit promotions. The company admitted that its advertisements did not adequately disclose the expiry period of the store credit, which varied between $10 and $1,000. This is a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and honesty in business practices. The median income of Australians is $55,062, according to the latest data from the ABS. But what's interesting is that there are big differences across the country, with some areas having much higher or lower median incomes. For example, the local government area of Woollahra in Sydney has a median income of $87,437, while Cottesloe in Western Australia has a median income of $80,932. These numbers raise important questions about income inequality and how it affects different communities. The ANZ boss, Nuno Matos, has said that the bank's interactions with regulators are not something he will discuss publicly. However, he did say that the bank's ambition is to put its house in order, especially around risk management. This is a critical area of concern for investors and regulators alike, and it will be interesting to see how the bank addresses these issues in the coming months. The Australian Industry Group Chief Executive, Innes Willox, has said that business is looking for a Goldilocks solution when it comes to the government's 2035 climate target. He argues that anything too low will impact investment, making Australia a laggard, while aiming too high will have a negative impact, with business almost being punished. This is a contentious issue and one that sparks heated debate. But what do you think? Should the government be aiming higher or lower when it comes to climate targets? The Australia Post has announced that it will resume parcel deliveries to the U.S. by September 25th, after temporarily suspending services due to the introduction of tariffs on parcels. This is good news for businesses and consumers who rely on these services, but it also raises questions about the impact of trade policies on international commerce. The national average price of a liter of unleaded petrol is 175.9 cents, which is stable compared to last week. However, the price of petrol can vary significantly depending on where you live, so it's always a good idea to check the prices in your area. The Business Council of Australia's annual dinner was held last night, and the Prime Minister was the guest of honor. The BCA Chief Executive, Bran Black, and President Jeff Colbert had a strongly worded warning for the government, saying that any increase in taxes on business would not pass the test. They also argued that the focus should be on making Australia more competitive to drive business investment and raise living standards. This is a critical debate that will continue to unfold in the coming weeks and months. So what do you think? Should the government be prioritizing business investment and competitiveness? Or should it be focusing on other areas, such as climate change and social welfare? Let us know in the comments. The U.S. economy is cooling. According to J.P. Morgan's global market strategist, Kerry Craig, he points to the weaker than expected August U.S. jobs data and inflation remaining above target as evidence of this trend. But what does this mean for investors and businesses? Should they be preparing for a slowdown, or are there still opportunities for growth? These are all questions that our expert analysts will be exploring in more detail. The ASX has opened lower, weighed down by the mining and energy sectors. The top and bottom movers at open are listed below, but it's always a good idea to do your own research and stay up to date with the latest market news. And finally, the Australia Post has announced that it will resume parcel deliveries to the U.S. But what about the impact of trade policies on international commerce? Is this a sign of things to come, or just a temporary solution? Let us know what you think in the comments. But here's the thing. The world of business and finance is complex and ever-changing. There are always new developments, new challenges, and new opportunities emerging. So, stay tuned for more updates, insights, and analysis from our team of expert reporters and analysts. And don't forget to follow us on social media for all the latest news and commentary.